Hey everyone, and welcome back to Get Your Geek On's Marvel Cinematic Universe Retrospective. I'm Robert, that's Aaron, and we're here to take you movie by movie through the MCU's Infinity Saga, 23 movies across 11 years.
Expect spoilers, guys, as we go through each movie, but we'll definitely let you know if we believe every movie is essential or not for the MCU. Think of this as your guide into the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple of filler movies along the way, although if you're like us, maybe you'll say they're all essential. We haven't done that, though.
No, not at all. Not at all. Far from.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with this one. Aaron,
Yes.
we are on to Black Panther, and this kicked off the 2018 movie-going year in style. This came out in February of 2018, directed by Ryan Coogler, stars Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera, Letitia Wright, Daniel Kaluuya, Winston Duke, Forrest Whitaker, Sterling K. Brown, and Angela Bassett. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this one. Also reprising roles, we had Martin Freeman returning, as well as Andy Serkis. The movie was a massive hit, made over $200 million opening weekend, and more than $1.3 billion over its run. So the highest total for any MCU non-Avengers movie. This movie.
Spider-Man?
Yes. So, all right. Is this movie essential?
I don't think this one is essential for the overall Infinity part.
Right.
But I think it is a good origin story if you want to know Black Panther.
I would agree. Like, this movie, I think, is awesome. You get to learn a ton about Wakanda, which
it's beautiful, by the way.
It's beautiful, and it does play a role in the Infinity Saga, but ultimately, you don't need this movie to understand narratively what's going on with the Infinity Saga. Right? All right, so going into this movie, I remember people were really hyped for this movie, especially Black Panther being introduced in Civil War. People thought, this is going to be awesome. It's our first, not our first black superhero, but it is the first MCU solo black superhero film. Obviously, we'd had Falcon, and we'd had Rhodey. As what's his name?
War Machine.
Yeah. And sort of Iron Patriot. But
talk about that.
this is the first solo, movie about African.
Yes.
I shouldn't say African American because he's African.
Exactly.
Superhero.
He's just African.
We got Black Panther. So I remember there was a ton of hype for this. It came out in February, which is Black History Month. It was obviously hyped as having a huge black cast directed by a black director, all of those things. I just remember there was a lot of excitement for this movie. What do you remember?
Kind of the same thing. I remember a lot of, and I'm going to say it this way, a lot of minorities, because it wasn't just black people. To me, it was everybody. This was like, we finally got our movie. It's not just a white guy up there now. So that was like a big thing I remember. And I also remember the excitement for Black Panther because he already had that, I guess you could say, that glimpse into him from Captain America. So I really enjoyed this one. I think a lot of people were ready for this one because I know I was. When it was coming out, I was like, okay, let me see what we can do. Because I love the technology.
I was super excited for this movie. And I remember the first time I saw it, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. One of the best superhero movies ever made. And it's still, and slight spoiler alert for upcoming videos, this is my favorite superhero movie of that year. I know that's not the same for everyone. Infinity War is our next movie that we're going to review, and it came out that same year. I like this one better. What about you? The first time you saw it, what did you think about this movie?
So, first time I saw it, and I'm trying to separate the rewatch from this now. When I first saw it, I actually really enjoyed, first of all, the beauty of everything, how everything looks. There was a few scenes later, now that rewatch, I will comment later.
Sure.
But I love how beautiful everything looks. And I think the scene with his dad, though, really hit harder for me. I mean, I think you still have your dad, right?
I do.
So I lost my dad at 13, so about 20 years ago. So I think it hit harder to see him go talk to his dad a couple times after his death because, hopefully no one ever thinks this. So I always say, go and talk to your parents. Always, love them until the very last minute, because you never know what's going to happen. But the ability to have that last conversation. So I think that hit harder than it really should have, kind of thing.
No, I mean,
but the first time rethinking about it all, I mean, I'll be honest, breaking the fourth wall for us. We had to re-record this because I lost the footage, so we're re-recording. So I've had more time to think about this actually. That scene hit a lot harder than I actually really talked about the first time around on this. But overall, I was ready for this. I was excited for this, and I was so happy for this one.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the movie. So the movie kicks off with a flashback to Oakland in the 80s, where you see a young T'Chaka visiting his brother and confronting him about stealing vibranium. Then we cut to the present after the events of Civil War. Now, T'Chaka has just been assassinated, has just been killed. So now T'Challa is ready to become the king of Wakanda. He's challenged by M'Baku from the tribe up in the mountains. T'Challa goes ahead and defeats him, becomes king, and his first act is he's going to go after Ulysses Claw, who has resurfaced by stealing vibranium from a London museum alongside Eric Stevens, a.k.a. Killmonger. Claw is actually captured by the CIA during a mission in South Korea, but he ends up escaping alongside Killmonger. And then during the escape, T'Challa actually sees a ring on Killmonger's neck that is identical to one that his father had. He confronts his father's advisor Zuri and learns that his father killed his uncle and left his son fatherless in America. Killmonger then kills Claw, brings him to Wakanda, and uses his birthright to challenge for the throne. He defeats T'Challa. T'Challa is presumed dead. He's thrown over a waterfall, and Killmonger takes over the country and decides he's going to use Wakandan weapons and technology basically to take over the world, if you will. And T'Challa then is revived. He battles Killmonger one more time to the death, ends up killing him, saving the country and the world in the process. And the movie ends with T'Challa deciding that Wakanda's technology needs to be shared with the world, but through humanitarian and outreach efforts, not violent ones. So that's the movie. We're going to go ahead and get into it. We already talked about one scene in particular, and I want to talk about that scene as well. And actually the one that really stands out for me is the second time he goes to the soul plane and talks to his dad.
Right. Where he's a little more angry in that
which is late in the movie as he's gone through this journey, and now he knows what his father has done. He knows that he's responsible for the death of his brother and leaving this child fatherless. And he basically confronts not only his father, but all of his ancestors who have, stayed isolationists. They've kept their country secret. They've kept their technology. They've kept vibranium secret. They, insulated themselves from the world. They haven't gotten involved in the larger conflicts. And basically, T'Challa is saying, you were wrong. Like you left the world to die. You left these people to die, and that's not what we should have done. We should have intervened. We should have helped people. And I think that's a really powerful scene for me. And, it's kind of the culmination of his journey in this movie is he's got, Killmonger on the one side saying, we should overthrow the oppressors. We should use our technology and our strength to overthrow the oppressors. And then he's got Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character, on the other hand, also saying that we should help people. We should use our technology and
that's his sister, right?
Everything. No, not his sister. That's the
girlfriend.
Correct.
Love interest.
Correct.
Okay.
And she's saying we should do these humanitarian things. We should use our technology to help the world. And I love her line that she says, which is, we're strong enough to protect ourselves and help people too. Right. Like that's one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. And so that journey coming to completion with kind of him confronting his father, I think is really powerful.
It is.
What are some of the things that stand out for you in this movie?
So the standout scenes, again, all the graphics. I love a lot of the graphic scenes. I love seeing Wakanda, like what it looks like, the technology advances put to them. And then at the same time, we have the guy with the rhinos. Yeah, and how they look simplistic. It looks like there's nothing there, and then those cloaks, if they pull them up, it's like a shield. It's like, like an energy shield. Like, okay, this is cool. Yep. So I love that stuff. I like the first scene, I think, more. I get why the second one with his dad, like the soul, I don't know, the soul plane.
Yeah.
Whatever. The first thing we talked to is that I really like it because that's like if the movie didn't go the way it did, that would have been a beautiful ending to like, seeing my dad one last time and got to talk to him.
And it is a beautiful line where his dad basically, he's like, I wasn't ready to lose you. And his dad is like, did I fail you? A father that leaves his son unprepared, to live without him has failed as a father, and you're like, oh, that's so harsh. Like that's a deep line. So that scene's great too. Like I'm not trying to throw shade.
Oh no, but definitely because the second time that it comes out, it is a more powerful scene because of what he's now gone through and seen. Right. And as I said, if Killmonger, all this didn't happen, that would have been a beautiful ending to like the soul plane.
Well, and Killmonger's scene in the soul plane where he's like that hits hard. That scene is so like because
he reverts to a kid even,
and he's talking about his dad's like no tears for me, and it's everybody around here dies. Like, oh my god, like it's so that the social message of this movie that we shouldn't stay isolated. We should use the resources we have to help people. We should do those things. We shouldn't leave people in their brokenness and their hurt and their pain. We should try and help people. Like it's very resonant for me. It really is something that I think is really powerful, and I really enjoy that message of the movie that and that's why Killmonger is such a compelling villain to me, and I want to kind of transition into Michael B. Jordan's performance because I think he
knocks it out of the
he's
park,
fantastic. And it's similar to Magneto in a way that where he's coming from. You understand where he's coming from, the pain and the hurt that he's coming from, and he's lived his whole life, being oppressed, being put down, and now he's got access to this power, this technology, these things, and he's saying, we need to overthrow the oppressors. And it totally makes sense from his perspective, and so I think that he just does a really good job. My favorite scene of the whole movie is his death scene, where he has that powerful line about living in captivity, versus death, and he's just being like, my ancestors knew it was better to die than to live in bondage. And that like every time.
And again, this is the second time we've recorded this. The first time I didn't like that scene.
Okay.
And I think we've talked about that on that one. But thinking about the movie Catch-22, and then actually hearing a song by Rise Against, I actually like that line now, which is funny because in Catch-22, there's a scene with the American guy, and I believe I can't remember the other guy's country. I don't know if you've seen the movie or not.
I have
it's
not.
An old movie. Did you ever see it, Frank? Catch-22?
I might have.
Okay. So anyway, there's a scene with an American and a foreigner, because I don't know. I'm just gonna say foreigner because I don't know what country he's from. Sure. And the guy says, the American tells him he's a shameful opportunist, but you don't understand. It's better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. But the other guy says you have it backwards. It's better to live on your feet it's better to die on your feet than live on your knees. But you have it backwards. It's better to die on your knees than to live on. It's reversed. It's better. He tells him it's better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. You have it backwards. It's better to live on your feet than to die on your knees. There you go.
Sure.
So, being executed essentially. So, I don't know. Like, I guess hearing the song a couple more times since, again, we've lost the first footage. I kind of now understand that more. And remembering the movie and then kind of going and watching that one scene. And I don't know why I always get it confused in my head. But I don't know. I think now I understand it more. And maybe because now, too, I mean, we recorded this originally, a month ago? 2 months ago?
No, we recorded this like back in March originally.
March, okay. And now we had the whole thing with all those. I'm not going to go into a political rant, but we had everything that's happened. And I think now I'm understanding that scene more.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I really, now looking back, I like that scene.
Yeah.
So again, taking everything else.
Yeah. So what else stands out from you in this movie? Any other scenes or things? I mean, I know you're a big James Bond fan, and there's elements of this movie that feel very James Bondy.
There is. I love the scenes. Honestly, I love the sister the most. I think
she's fantastic. Shuri. Yeah, Shuri's fantastic.
I love her to death. I'm like, she's so amazing because she is so ahead of her time kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I love how she's so like thinking in the future, ready, and then she sees the Crocs on him, and she's like, "Oh my God, what are knows, and it's just like, she's so smart. She probably could make these, but she's just like giggling like a schoolgirl.
And she just,
them.
you know, she makes dumb jokes all the time, like, you know, like the shoes that are silent. I call them sneakers. You know, like, it's so dumb. I love what she calls Martin Freeman colonizer. Like,
yes,
it's a great little moment.
Lovely. Like I love her character in this, and then
she's a little bit Q-ish, you know, bringing back to the James Bond. She kind of here's the technology, equips you for the mission, and then they have like that's what I want to talk about too. That whole South Korea scene is very James Bondy.
Yes,
it's like they're on this secret mission. You know, now they're kind of undercover. Things go wrong. They they get into the whole chase scene, the whole fight scene. Like I think that whole scene is fantastic.
Is perfect. And I honestly. One of the things I do like, and again, from the graphic side and like special effects side, I love how they create the cockpits for them to sit in and drive. And I can only imagine how painstaking that must have been to like do all the little, because it's supposed to look like ash, I guess, or something, and then it solidifies for them to touch it and interact with it.
It's cool.
And I think my favorite one, because I love the car scene with that. Yeah. But I think I love when I forgot the guy's name, the CIA agent.
Martin Freeman,
where he's in the plane version.
And
she's like, oh, I made it Americanized for you. So it tells you they don't have anything like a cockpit like that. And then you got to see it earlier when T'Challa's then Black Panther is jumping into like the group of I guess they were like
in the jungle, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
You get to see she's not even touching controllers, really. She's just sitting there. And it's just like
It's very cool the way that they use technology. They weave it into everything else.
And it's those little beads. That's all.
Yeah, the little beads and everything. And you know, I think the thing that I did want to point out and talk about is like I think Chadwick Boseman in Civil War as Black Panther is really, really good. Yeah. Right. And I think it's a great introduction. And I'm not saying that he's not bad in Black Panther. But he is the least interesting part of his own movie.
He is.
Like
I will give you that.
I love his sister. I love his love interest. I love his bodyguards. I love his villain. I love M'Baku. You know, the gorilla, a good character or a good Black Panther, or he's not interesting. It's just everything else around him is so good.
It is. And it almost feels like it was their time to shine because he had Civil War. This was his time to shine, and now it's like the sister, the love interest. You know, M'Baku, everybody else's time to shine. And I think out of all of it, though, like I really think the sister is my favorite character.
She's great.
I think she's probably because like
I think Nakia is my favorite character, the love interest, just because you know she's a badass, but she also has that humanitarian side to her, like that. That is very resonant for me. So
she's a great character. I really like that. You know, she's still no matter what, she stayed true to her guts. She never wavered. She always stayed. This is how I am. I think the reason I like the sister more is because, like you said, Q. Yeah. And just like in James Bond, they bicker, and she had her
so much fun.
Black Panther, they're on point with their bickering.
They feel like a brother and sister.
They do.
Like it is a very real, like from the very moment that she greets him as he comes back from her mission, and you know it's like, did he freeze? You know, like, and it's like that whole thing, and she flips the bird to him as she's walking away, and you get, you know, the mom without even looking knows what she's doing. Is Shuri? Then the hand comes down.
I mean, and I think
it's greght.
They're such great actors because it felt like a real family. Like it didn't feel like I was watching actors. It felt like I was watching a mom dealing with her son and daughter, and it was just like, really? You guys are in your freaking 30s, and this is, put it down. I'm gonna go backhand you. I mean, like I could feel her that ooh, what you doing over there? Like, you know it. If you come from that background, you know what I'm talking about.
So yeah, I think the relationships in this movie are fantastic. Really, the whole movie is it's great. It's got great moments of comedy. It does. It's got you know, really good moments, powerful moments from a ton of different characters. Like I think another one that really stands out to me is, you know, you mentioned the character earlier that's played by Daniel Kaluuya of the Border Tribe, and he's in a relationship. They never really say whether he's married or not, but basically, I think they're definitely together with Denai Guerrero's character, who's the head bodyguard of the Dora Milaje, and they kind of encounter each other at the end on the battlefield, and he's like, you'd kill me, you know, and she goes, for Wakanda, without question. You know, and it's like, I love that because you see that. That's another great scene that's between her and Nakia, where, you know, she's saying, I'm loyal to Wakanda, I'm loyal to the throne, and that's why I have to stay, you know, after they think Black Panther's been killed.
Right.
And, you know, Nakia's like, no, we have to go. Like, we can't stay and support this. And you understand both perspectives. You understand why they both feel that way. And you get that moment where when it's revealed that, you know, T'Challa is still alive, you know, she is very clearly very happy that he's still alive, because that's the Wakanda she wants to be loyal to.
Exactly.
And that's who she's going to fight for. And, you know, I think that there's a few, and you pointed this out the first time we recorded this. So there are a few CGI, you know, issues and moments. And most of them occur on the Soul Plane world,
which doesn't make sense.
Which, by the way, maybe it's just a fake world, so don't worry about it. Maybe it's allowed to be fake. All right. But yeah, there are some CGI wonky issues.
That was terrible.
From a narrative standpoint, from a character standpoint, all of those things, I love just about everything about this movie.
And I like a lot of it. There were still a lot of things I didn't like. I still don't. I want to like Killmonger more, and I really have issues with him.
Okay.
You know, and I really have issues with. And again, plot convenience maybe. Why did the dad just leave the son behind? It's just like, okay, I killed your uncle. Bye.
Yeah,
I mean, not like take him and be like, hey, like let's raise him and help him.
Yeah, and Zuri's you know, response or defense is that, you know, we had to maintain the lie, and you kind of get that repeated back to you by the dad. Yeah. You know, it's like, we can't acknowledge that, you know, my brother was basically a traitor in Oakland. And so, you know, we're not going to acknowledge that. We're not going to acknowledge that he had a son that he probably shouldn't have had, and those types of things. I agree with you, and that's, you know, you side with Black Panther. You go, you made a mistake. Like, you shouldn't have done that. You should have brought him back with you. But, you know, the people make mistakes.
I guess. I mean, again, plot convenience too. You need a villain. So how do you make the villain? Well, just leave him back there. And
True.
He'll be back in about 20 years. I don't know. I mean, did you have? Because I know this is your kind of your favorite movie. What did you not like about this one? There has to be at least that one thing.
I mean, I will say that the only thing that is a real drawback for me in this movie is I think that I think the fact that they kill Claw.
That's a huge drawback. That's so much missed opportunity.
And because. And it makes sense from a narrative standpoint. You know, that's his ticket into the country as Killmonger is, you know, Claw is this major villain that, you know, people in Wakanda want dead. And so he delivers them a dead Claw. Mm-hmm. So it makes perfect sense that would be his ticket into Wakanda from a narrative standpoint. But it is a very big missed opportunity, because I think Andy Serkis is fantastic as that villain. He's so good. And we never... You know, there's that interrogation scene where he and Black Panther meet, but that's the only time they meet, and that's a pretty big villain for Black Panther in the comics. And so
even for the Avengers, he's a big villain.
And so now, like, he showed up in Avengers: Age of Ultron. He had that very short scene, you know,
just to get his arm cut off,
and didn't even interact with any of the Avengers, because he interacted with Ultron and Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and then. You know, we get him in this movie, and, you know, he does interact with, like, the CIA and Black Panther, and then obviously Killmonger and stuff, but then we lose him. So that's the only thing that's really a drawback for me. And then some of those CGI issues. That's what I would say. But, I mean, honestly, there's very little about this movie I don't enjoy.
I don't know. I don't like that they killed Claw, because, again, he's a big villain. He's not a small B-lister. Kill off a B-lister, that's fine, but not him. You know, rewatching, I was able to watch some of the fight scene at the very end with him. I don't know how I feel about that one. Maybe it's the CGI. Maybe it's, I don't know. That fight scene still kind of bothers me a little bit. I just can't pinpoint what it is.
Yeah, I think what it is, at least for me, because it's not as compelling as all of the other fights going on in this movie. Like, that's the thing, is like the other action scenes, the other fight scenes, the fight scene on the water between the two of them is way more compelling than the train scene. Yes. You know, and part of that is neither one of them have powers. They're, you know, the emotion in that fight scene is way stronger than the emotion here at the end, which is where you just kind of have, you know, Killmonger's now he's just angry, you know, and like in the first one, you can feel his rage, but you can also feel his pain. Yeah. And I would say in this second fight where they both have the powers, it doesn't have the same emotional weight. The end of the fight, which results in his death, I think is fantastic. But I get you. Like that fight scene it's not as compelling to watch. I kind of am more interested in, Martin Freeman's, chase scene.
Exactly.
I'm interested in the fight going up on the surface, like all that stuff. So I think that's what takes away from it.
Yeah, I think there's just so much going on. Everything else, kind of like what you said earlier, everyone else is kind of not stealing the spotlight, but it's shining for them a little bit brighter, maybe. Where with him, it's just not shining. And then I don't know. I guess because I'm also trying to figure out, and again, I guess it's a little bit where I can't separate that physics thing. It's like, oh well, the armor's getting weakened because of the train, right? I think it is.
Yeah. There's like Shuri has basically designed something that deactivates the power of the vibranium so that they can move it at those speeds on the trains, and so when they're next to that, their suits also lose that vibranium power. So
it's like, okay, if that's the case, it's just always like random, it seems like, where it happened. So it's like he just happened to, his chest is open just for this moment. I don't know. I tear it apart at that point.
I hear you.
It's just because it's just like, again, I don't think you should have killed Killmonger. I think maybe that's the other thing. They killed all the villains.
Yeah,
so it's like, who's next? Like,
and it is one of those things where I want Michael B. Jordan back, and maybe after Endgame, maybe we'll be able to have alternate timelines or stories or something. Maybe we will get Michael B. Jordan back because he is fantastic. Yeah. And that is I agree with you.
I think that was another missed
opportunity. His death moment is so powerful for me that I'm okay with it. Yeah. Like I want more Michael B. Jordan, but I'm glad they gave us the movie they gave us with that death scene. I think it's super powerful.
Like, was it the end justifies the means? Yeah. So I get it, because the ending, again, now with everything going on, rewatching some other old movies, listening to old music, it's like, okay, now this scene makes sense to me. So I get the death scene more. But again, like you said, I really would love to have him come back. Sure. I mean, Doctor Strange and the multiverse is coming out. Yeah. So who knows if he's going to follow?
He could show up in WandaVision for all we know.
Oh, gosh.
I don't think so.
No one knows anything about that, too. So all of a sudden, he's just like, hi, guys, I'm
here.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's my problem right now is this, that we have yet to see any other villain kind of get created, where other movies we kind of get an idea of like who's going to be the villain or who's going to come out, like in...
I mean, Black Panther 2, I think what the big rumor seems to be now is Namor. Yeah. Which is kind of in Endgame. You get that reference to something happening under the water off the coast of Africa, which is just that very brief scene. Yeah, it's after the 5-year jump, and it's Black Widow is talking with like Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah, and the holograms.
And and she's having that conversation with I can't remember her name now, but Denai Guerrera's character, the head of the Dora Milaje, and she's like, did you investigate that activity off the coast of Africa? And she's like, it was under the ocean. We're leaving it under the ocean. Like so like there's been a lot of speculation that could have been Namor.
So just like a little random. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a little Easter egg.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's popping out. He's like, I'm gonna go attack people. So I don't know. I just don't like that. There's no. Like when you watch Civil War, Crossbones comes out at the end of that, technically. So okay, well, he's probably going to be in the third film somehow.
Well, yeah, he came out in Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier into Civil War.
Yeah.
So, you always get like a hint of another villain, it feels like, or they kind of explain it. I mean, maybe they'll explain it. I don't like that the two villains he could have been huge villains are already dead. But that's a problem I've always had with Marvel, is that you're killing your villains off way before they need to be. So...
Yeah, I mean they're telling contained stories.
Yeah,
and so
don't kill Doctor Doom if you ever bring him out.
I think Doctor Doom might be our next big bad, and he's going to be around for a long time.
He better be. I hope you're right, dude.
All right, so in terms of the Infinity Saga, this doesn't really have any impact. I know there was a ton of speculation before this movie came out, because we'd seen all 5 of the Infinity Gems except for the Soul Stone, and everybody was like, it's going to be in Black Panther, it's going to be, and then they go to the Soul Plane, and you're like, is this? And nope, it's definitely not.
Not at all.
So this does not tie into the Infinity Saga, but final thoughts on the movie. And before we get to final thoughts, I got to, share, I think my favorite meta joke about this movie is that you had Martin Freeman, who played Bilbo Baggins, and you had Andy Serkis, who of course is Gollum, and they are our Tolkien white guys.
Oh my God.
It's my favorite meta joke about this movie. So they're the two white actors in the movie. Hey, I gotta go for it.
Your dad jokes. You dang dad
So,
jokes,
all right,
man.
final thoughts, Aaron, and your rating. Go for it.
Final thoughts. Overall, great movie. I still think there could have been more. I feel like there was too many plot holes. There was too many little conveniences. Some of the CGI still bothers me even now. But I will say overall, some of the best CGI, I think, from the Marvel universe up to date.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff in Wakanda looks amazing. It does.
So I will say some of the best CGI, maybe for their far shots, maybe the wide angles, those are the better ones. Maybe the up close or something.
Everything in South Korea looks really good too.
It does.
Yeah.
But, Kim Jong-un does a good job, right?
That's North Korea.
Oh, yeah, wrong one. So, final thoughts, though, I think there could have been more. I think there were some missed opportunities. I really don't like that both the villains are gone. So, overall, it was okay. My final rating itself, I think I would say probably a 7. I'm going to give it a nice solid 7. Okay. Because, again, the CGI still bothers me. Some of the story still bothers me a little bit here and there. But overall, with the way society's playing out, everything's better, I think. I think it's better. Yeah.
We are way different on this one. For me, this movie is it's one of the best in the MCU.
Yeah.
It is, for me, it's a 9 out of 10. Okay. I love just about everything about this movie. I think it's fantastic. I think that narratively it works. Yes, there's conveniences. Yeah. There's conveniences in every movie.
Yeah, there really is.
When it comes to the characters, I think that they all have really strong motivations. They have really strong relationships. Yeah. I love just about everything about this movie. So, this is one of my favorite Marvel movies, MCU movies. It's one of my favorite superhero movies. It's one of my favorite action movies. Like, there's everything about this movie I love. 9 out of 10. I think it's one of the best movies in the MCU. Even though it's not essential for the overall Infinity Saga, I think it's absolutely a movie that everyone should see. Even if you're not a big superhero fan, and if you are not, you're probably not watching this video. Right. But I just think everything about this movie works. I think it's fantastic. I think it's funny. It's got good action. It's got good characters. It's got a good story. It really does. It's got great emotional beats. It's got great heart. The main character grows. Black Panther has a different perspective than he did at the beginning of this movie, partially due to Nakia and partially due to the villain. And you don't see villains that have that kind of impact on their heroes. Obadiah Stane did not make Tony Stark into a better person. No. Red Skull did not make Steve Rogers into a better person. No, but not at all. Killmonger made Black Panther into a better person. And so for me, I think that is part of why I love this movie, is that the villain is not just one-dimensional. He has that depth. He has that emotion. He has that lasting impact. Even though we may not ever see him again, he is going to be present in the MCU because Black Panther will still carry his interactions with him. So this is full stop one of my favorite movies in the MCU. It might, depending on, when I watch it, it might be my favorite. Although I think, a previous movie, the original Avengers, is still probably my favorite movie in the MCU. So but this one's right up there. I absolutely love it. So, anyways, those are our thoughts, guys. We want to know what you think. Drop your comments down below. Are you more on my side with this is one of your favorite movies of the MCU? Are you more on Aaron's side where you go, it's good, but maybe not at the top? Or do you think maybe this is one of the worst movies in the MCU? Let us know. Drop your thoughts. Drop your comments down below. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about Avengers Infinity War. Make sure and check out Talkin' Geek coming out on Tuesday. And I'm Robert. This is Aaron. We've had fun. Stay geeky, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.